like almost like a baby powder, right? That fine. So it's going to add more pliability and a little more elasticity to your product. But there's nothing wrong with using AP flour. It works just fine, especially if you use a good quality AP flour, like any of the specialty millers, like King Arthur. Are you videotaping me? King Arthur. So theirs is going to be higher gluten. It's 11.5% protein in their AP flour alone, which is about 1% higher. So the higher the gluten, the more protein in it, and you're going to. The higher the protein, the more gluten. You're going to have more elasticity in your product, right?
So why wouldn't you use bread flour then instead of all-purpose?
You could do that, but it just doesn't usually yield a huge difference in results. And you're going to find people that are going to teach you how to make pasta different than I teach you, right? And you're going to say, wow, I learned a new way, not, oh my gosh. Yeah, right? Because you're going to learn lots of different ways to do things throughout your whole life and career, and just add it up, because there's lots of ways. Some people are going to add, if you Googled Thomas Keller, he's going to make I think he does like an 8 yolk pasta. So no whites at all, yolks, and mix that into, you have to have the right ratio of flour. So you're going to have 2 parts flour, 1 part liquid, including the yolks, or whites, or water, right? Okay, so there's going to be lots of different recipes. Some people are going to tell you to add oil to it. Other people are going to tell you not to. It's all going to affect that elasticity, but it's going to be minor. You're not going to notice most of the time. If you put them all together, do them all together, you would notice, right? So semolina flour is also durum wheat. It's a little coarser, as we know because we've used this many times in class, right? So we have a coarser grind. This is used sometimes a ratio of 1-to-1 with your flour, and you guys can use some of this today if you want to play. And don't use it for the ravioli, but if anyone making the longer noodles, or if you want to use it for your take-home noodle, then you can mix. So you do 1/3 of a cup this, 1/3 AP, and mix. It'll give you a little bit more elasticity. This is the flour that they would use in southern Italy. So southern Italy, they're making more dried pastas versus fresh pastas. It's going to be water and semolina. Different texture, different flavor. In north, they're going to add the egg. It's going to be more of the dubolo flour, okay, less of this. It's all about that gluten. So speaking of that gluten, we're going to make our pasta, right? We're going to mix it, and we're going to knead it 5 to 10 minutes until we can start to feel it relax, and it becomes more elastic. After we've hit that point, we're going to wrap it in plastic wrap, and we're going to walk away. It needs to sit there for at least 30 minutes. Some people will tell you to go like 6 hours or whatever. It's not really practical. It doesn't make a huge bit of difference. What you'll notice when you go back to roll it out is if it hasn't rested long enough, it's going to fight you, right? It's going to be hard to roll out. It's going to bounce back, and you're going to have to set and roll, and it's not going to stretch. It'll also look a little bit bumpy. It might rip a little bit more, and we can laminate it as we enter into the pasta roller, right? We're going to fold it over, just like if we were making our laminated doughs, right? We're going to laminate it and send it back through, and that'll smooth it out eventually. By the end of our setting, we'll probably roll to about 6. By the end of that setting, it will be smooth, and you won't be able to tell much of the difference, but we would have worked harder to get there, right? Okay? So rolling out, super important. So let me show you. I just use the new table first. Set that on camera, right? So we're gonna do our scoop. Maybe do this. So we want 2/3 a cup. So we're gonna scoop and swipe our flour, right? Or weigh it. So I'm just going to put it right into the table. You can do it in a bowl to contain the mess a little bit more and have a little bit better parameters on it. Okay, 2/3 a cup. You can do a little sprinkle of salt. And then you're going to make your well. And then you're going to break your egg right inside that well. Now again, it's up to you whether you use that whole egg or you use just whites. You can even use water. That's just all yolks, right? Yolk, you can use a whole egg.
Agnologi.
Oh, well, yeah, you should use, if you use for the stuffed pasta more yolks, it just gives you a little bit more elasticity because the additional fat. The white has more percentage of water to it, whereas the yolk has more fat in it, right? So it's gonna give you a fattier taste, mouthfeel, but it's also going to increase the pliability of your product. So if we're making ravioli or agnolotti or tortellini or something that's stuffed,
The yolks would be the better choice.
it's actually best to have one whole egg and one yolk. That's going to give you the best, in my opinion, that's going to give you the best
Kind of
yield.
the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to just make sure, so I have a fork here, but I would use my finger. And we don't need to add the oil. If you want to add the oil, go ahead. It's just going to increase the moisture content in the product. It's not going to change the finished product by much. You can experiment. So one person at your table can try adding it and one not. Make this a little R&D while we're here. Okay. You guys have bench scrapers in your?
Yeah.
Good. So use your bench scrapers. Just keep bringing it into that circle. Would someone hand me a bench scraper?
That's what people would do.
Bench scrapers are my favorite thing. Bowl scrapers, actually.
There's a soft one too in there.
And you can also do this in a bowl this size. Super easy. Then it's not going to be messy.
You want that one or that one?
Bowl scraper. I prefer the bowl scraper because of the flexibility. So
Yeah.
in something like this.
That makes it up.
All right.
See, I just
Okay. I think
grabbed the other one.
so. With the bowl scraper, I have some flexibility, right? I don't really have that here.
Your piece got one. They're missing theirs.
All right.
Frisbee.
And there's our cheesecloth, everybody.
Yay.
Perfect timing, huh?
Oh, we should have had her get walnuts.
She did.
Oh, you did? Yay.
We have walnuts. Yes. So you're just going to keep blending until you get all of your product integrated in and combined. So if you're like me and don't like messes, do it inside the bowl, and then you won't have this little bit of mess, right? Okay, and then once you have everything, you're going to start to knead. So as I knead, I'm going to get the rest of this flour. I'm going to pick it up. And now we have our dough. We can see a little crumbly texture, right? So we're going to go for smooth now. So we're just going to knead. So turn it over, heel, flip it over, heel. I oftentimes, look, because of what I do, right, I'll be walking around and I'll knead like this. So, because I'm watching all of you, or my kids if I'm at home. So this is easy, and it's kind of meditational. You just start doing it really absent-minded, and all of a sudden your dough is not sticky anymore, and it's becoming nice and smooth. We're not going to knead it until it's absolutely smooth. The resting period is going to smooth it out. It's going to be amazing. I want you really to pay attention to the point it becomes, where the point you put it in your plastic wrap, and then 30 minutes later when you go to roll it, the difference in the look and the feel of it. Okay, it's really going to be different after those glutens relax. So you're going to roll and knead it until it's not sticky. So see, it's sticky now, right? Everybody got the kneading? Because I'm not going to stand here and knead for 7 minutes. Okay, good. All right, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but in a food processor. For our spinach. So you could do your regular pasta in the food processor also. The difference, so if we were just doing plain pasta, we'd put our flour in and drop our egg.
Careful for that egg. Oh, never mind.
Forgot it. But when we're going to add our additives, so we're going to add pureed spinach. So this is frozen chopped spinach, and that's the easiest thing to work with. You can for sure use fresh spinach. You need to blanch it, squeeze all the water out of it, and cool it off. And then we're going to puree. So we're going to add all of our...
Dang, I wish I'd have got that picture. The inquisitive look. What's going on, look.
All right. Okay. So we're going to add, I'm going to go ahead and just send this around. It's probably not going to do anything, right? Yeah. Oh.
Not even.
I don't think this is the right blade, actually.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
No,
Will someone hand me one of your rubber spatulas, please?
Bring that whole box over.
All right, so we'll scrape down the sides. There's lots of powders that you can buy. You can buy beet powder, spinach powder, different dehydrated veggie powders that'll color and slightly flavor.
If you wanted to, you could dehydrate your own vegetables too, right?
sure.
If you just stick them in a low oven and then pulse them.
Or I have that dehydrator too. So you need about 200 degrees, 185, so your lowest setting. And then in your oven, it takes a long time. It takes maybe 12 hours usually. But in a dehydrator, just a couple of hours. And then you can puree them up.
That'd be good because you can do like spinach and play with a lot of other. I mean, not spinach, mushroom.
Yeah,
You could just buy the already dehydrated mushrooms.
Yeah, you could buy
and then pulse them up in like a
powder,
spice grinder.
or they make truffle powder, different things. So you could do that for sure. The Roboku is overkill for our 1/8 pasta. Yeah, it's too little of an amount, so we're gonna keep being stubborn about it. Okay, I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw my flour in. So we have the 1.5 cups of flour. So now we're gonna let this go until it forms a dough ball. Whole egg. It's not going to take a whole nother yolk. Otherwise, it's going to be too. So I have water. Yeah, I have water on my hands. And when I'm making a dough like this, if I find that my pizza dough or my bread dough or my pasta dough, it's dry, I never want to just pour water on it. I just get my hands wet and work it in that way. So that's what I'll do with this. We'll work in a little. I'm probably going to choose the oil since I have it. And add that little bit of fat to it.
Need more?
I think this will be enough, yeah. It's coming together now.
Now, what if you use butter rather than oil?
What's that?
Butter gives a better taste, better flavor with it. Butter.
Then oil.
Well, that's subjective, better taste. We're using olive oil, so the olive oil has a pretty good taste, and that's more in line with the cuisine we're studying, right, with our Italian.
Okay.
The Southern Italian would use more olive oil, and the North would use more butter,
Okay.
right?
Butter in the dough?
No, the butter in the dough is you're gonna make a pie dough, right? Or your tart dough. Those are all the things that you have to cut butter in. You're not gonna ever use butter in your pasta dough. It's always gonna be egg or water and sometimes oil, not usually oil.
What would like suppose you wanted to use butter? What would it do though? Just curious.
Well, if you use melted, so the butter has more water in it.
Yeah.
Right. So the butter is like 70% fat and 30% water, depending on which one you use. Use clarified butter. Yeah, it would probably be fine. It would add that flavor. I don't think that it would add.
Definitely would not be an Italian would probably smack you in the face.
I don't think that you would notice. It's such a tiny bit of oil. I don't think most people would notice. I really don't. And there's people, maybe a super taster, which is not a good thing to be, right? No one wants to be a super taster.